Hello and welcome to a new video, and today we're going to be talking about the determination experiments, or more specifically, why the determination experiments are an affront to science. And why that is actually the damn point. See, I want to set the scene before we start. Imagine this, your royal scientist just gassed himself out of existence, you don't know what to do. You may not even remember the scientist being there, but you can remember the scientist being good. And so you kind of wait. And you're like, what do I do? And suddenly, a strange yellow tiny dinosaur walks up to you and presents you with a robot. Now that robot, of course, not real, but you don't know that. See, you see this as an engineering feat, and so instead of putting her in charge of the engineering division, you put her in charge of the science division. Because, yes. Now, fun fact. This is most likely a reference. See, Alphys likes anime and quite literally put a ghost in a shell. Do you get the reference yet? I figured this out literally 2 minutes ago. But now that we've established that an absolutely unqualified person is in charge of the science division, what does she get up to? Well, frankly, if you're just in charge of the science division for absolutely no reason, well, what do you do first other than try to prevent death? Now, how does one defeat death? Well, you've heard a few things about this determination substance. See, the king already knows about the reset, so presumably there are files in the lab about that as well. So you go looking through files and you suddenly see, wait a damn minute, they can reset? These motherfuckers can load saves, defeat death? Interesting. And so, immediately, you hop on their shit. Now, what's the best thing you can do as a scientist? Test it on like a few animals? No, you just grab the dying members of society up and start injecting. Now, I'm gonna be absolutely honest. I have no idea how Ascor let that shit slide. How did Ascor give determination to Alphys? That's crazy. But what basically happened is that you went ahead and got a bunch of falling monsters. See, they are in a state of fallen down, which is basically the state they're in before they die, presumably of old age. Well, maybe with a little bit of determination dosage, they'll stand right back up. And you actually see that happen. Now, we may have entirely avoided the whole clinical trial period of our determination injection, but, it seems to be working quite fine. They have stood back up, they're no longer in a state of falling down, and you know what? Maybe this is the goddamn cure to it all. Maybe even the most unqualified of individuals can figure something out if they are given the correct tools. So, you contact the families. And you're like, well, your family members, you remember the ones you gave to me for science? They're no longer falling down. I fucking did that shit, let's fucking go! Now they're gonna have to stay here a little bit for, the scientific purposes, but, they just know they straight up alive. And so the families are like, well, that's pretty nice. And Alphys is like, I'm that fucking guy. But suddenly things start going weird, things don't quite go as planned, and you've already sent out those letters, so that's getting a little bit rough there. They fall down again, and so you're like, because they cannot actually produce determination, that means I must simply put in a higher dosage. Am I going to try that on a single subject? Fuck no, I'm gonna try it on all of them. I'm playing with lives here, so I have to be as reckless as possible, you think to yourself. Drastic measures are required to save these people. And so you give them an even bigger dosage of determination. It seems to be working, but suddenly they straight up start melting. Now, any scientist would have not fucking done that. They would have stopped at this part, I'm gonna be completely honest. See, they would have done a few trials with determination to see how monster bodies react to it in a controlled environment, instead of all of those fucking dying people. And now they straight up start melting, and I feel like here, we could have had like multiple research groups of these falling down individuals, one we inject with the same amount of dosage, maybe that just keeps them alive, maybe some we inject with a little less, some we inject with a little more. We could have had some good old research, but instead we just kind of shit it in, just kind of whoop. We may not be very good at science around these parts, but we are the royal fucking scientists, baby. And even if my damn patients start melting, I don't know, I fucking win. See, because you're Alphys, you don't lose. You successfully scammed the king with your shitty ass robot, and he, for some reason, made you scientist for that, even though that's an engineering feat. So we win these. You never lose. And you definitely cannot tell the families. I mean, if they knew of your potential failure right now, that shit would not slide. And I don't want that motherfucker in charge, that asshole-looking ass. I don't want him asking questions, so I'm gonna give him a little bit of an update on my determination experiment. See, now we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna do the thing that we were supposed to do the first fucking time around. Because we're gonna inject some determination into a flower that had some dust on it. I wonder how that got there. Now, was it on purpose? No, but you did it. You made a whole ass sentient being out of determination. So what does that tell you? Well, determination is strong enough to be combined with a flower to make something sentient. So why are my guys still melting? This is getting more and more complicated, and it's getting a little too complicated for your brain. You know, you're not out for this. You may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but you're fucking Alphys. You win these. So now, like, some sort of deja vus are starting to appear, but you don't really think about that, so you just kind of keep on going. And suddenly, there are a few time fluctuations. And these fluctuations are a little bit too fluctuatingly. Cause that's just straight up timeline, stopping and starting, left and right. And now you're like, ooh, was that me? Probably not, Alphys keeps winning. See, you probably don't have anything to do with that. You know, if you completely ignore the fact that it started happening as soon as that motherfucker was created, it's not your fault. Surely you don't have to tell anyone about this. Fun fact, we know that Sans doesn't know it's Flowey. So based on the fact that Sans doesn't know it's Flowey, and this being, you know, a pretty good way of figuring shit out, I feel like Alphys kinda knows. Ah, yo Alphys, you don't lose. You just made a little bit of an oopsie. No one needs to know. In fact, no one needs to know about the fact that they fell down again. No one really needs to know about the melting part. Honestly, Flowey, I mean, you kind of already told the king, so they know about Flowey. It's a bit of an unfortunate thing. You should probably tell someone about the time fluctuations, though. So, yeah, you know what? You tell your coworkers about the time fluctuations. Just not the connection to Flowey. We can erase that bit. Oh, what, you're gonna tell the families? We don't need to tell them. What do you mean we already told them that the family is back? We didn't? Fuck you. You know what? Let's entirely remove that bit, pretend this didn't happen, and just pretend that we got a bunch of people, which somehow that research led to Flowey happening. Yeah, that's how we did it. Yeah, okay, now that you know what? Yeah, we should probably raise this too. Now, in actuality, because of the increased rates of monsters being fallen down, we decided to do a few experiments on them. Unfortunately, fuck you, and that led to Flowey somehow. How we convinced the king to give us the human souls to extract determination from them? Not sure, but we certainly fucking did it. You know what? Just pretend all of this didn't happen. You're the head of the royal you're the whole royal scientist, you're the head royal scientist. There's no damn thing on your record that should be questioned by anyone beside the king, and the king doesn't deserve to question you either. You never lose! But in actuality, you're fucked. And you are very aware of that. As soon as someone even takes a little bit of a look in your operations, they'll probably realize that you're not qualified at fucking all. As soon as they start asking Metaton questions, you're already fucked, because why are they asking questions to a robot? That's probably bad. They're probably on the cusp of figuring everything out. Maybe, all you need to do is stall for time. What do you mean a human fell down? And yep, that's about that. The determination experiments are an affront to science. Obviously, they are meant to be. But a lot of people somehow think that these going wrong is not on Alphys. It's entirely on Alphys. What the fuck are you talking about? They were never going to work. And that's the point. No scientist would have ever attempted any of that. It all started with a scam. Then she earnestly tried to do something, failed miserably because she doesn't know the scientific process, caused even more pain for absolutely no reason, and somehow created the biggest problem in the entire video game, which somehow, in the dumbest way possible, leads to the best ending being possible. Because without the complete dumbassery of Alphys, Flowey wouldn't exist, and therefore we wouldn't be able to get the true pacifist ending, because we can only get it because Flowey exists. So by being the dumbest motherfucker in the room, the best ending happened. Which is just honestly spectacular, Alphys. Now this is what I call weaponized incompetence. My fit goes absolutely goddamn hard. Cue the clown.